packed us into the plane and took us back to Rwanda. So when we arrived in Rwanda, we were taken into torture chambers. We were never seen again. So in Kigali, in the torture chamber, I remember entering that.
Wait. I think you just went a little too fast. You were taken from Gabon, and now you're talking about Kigali. Kigali is in Rwanda. So you flew back across that country, the Congo, which is the size of the United States, east of the Mississippi, or a third of Australia, or a third of Canada, or a third of China, right? A third of Brazil.
Yes.
Okay, so now you're back to Rwanda with General Charles Kayonga.
Yes, so after walking over 6,000 miles on foot, we arrived in Congo Brazzaville, Franceville. We were tortured and forcibly deported by UNHCR, which hired, actually the plane which took us back, it was called the Mali Airways. Mali, from Mali as a country, from Mali. That's what the UNHCR hired to take us back to Rwanda. So when we arrived at the Kanombe International Airport, my friend, we knew this is the end. So we could see them, those guys, and they came and they told us, now we are going to slaughter you one by one. And so you thought by fleeing all the way, crossing the Congo, walking all the way to Gabon, would save you from us. Now you are here. We are everywhere. So then we were taken into the torture chambers. And when we were taken into the chambers, I remember the first day, as we entered, actually, one called we used to call him Hassan.
William, your connection, is it your connection? We cannot hear you properly.
Oh, I think there was the internet. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah. So you're just saying that we remember, but I didn't get what you said. Yeah.
So I remember when we arrived in Kigali, then when we were being holding into that torture chamber, one guy called the Ajida Chef Hassan. We used to call him Bihwahwa. So the guy said, he was giving instructions. I wanted to see 40 dead bodies every day. So once we entered there, we knew we were going to be slaughtered. But the question was, who is going to go first? So I prayed to go fast. Always I wanted to be killed fast so that I don't see how other people are being killed. It was a torture. It was a torturing experience. I always prayed to be killed fast. Then we went for interview. So when we went for interview, there were three guys, young guys who were in the 20s. And so they were interviewing me and saying, so you were in a school so that one day you can rule Rwanda and they prevent us from coming back to Rwanda. And said, no, I was just a boy studying like anybody else. So they put a rope around my neck. I have 2 scars here on my neck. Then they squeezed the rope and they wanted to break my neck. And I put my 2 hands here so that I couldn't breathe. Then the rope actually injured me at the back. I have 2 scars. Those who know me can see those scars. So, and then I lost the conscience and they pushed me there. When I regained the conscience, they continued, said I was pretending. And they actually had lost breath. And then they bent me and one held these big chains. Those who know Rwanda, the Rwandan kind of prisons, they use these big chains and the chain, metallic chains. So one was standing in front of me, another one bent me. The one standing in front of me bent me. Then another one hit me with that chain. So I coughed the blood, and I coughed the blood. So I thought I was dead. So they laughed. They were so happy. They laughed, seeing this guy coughing blood. And then I started bleeding from the ears and also from my mouth, spitting blood, coughing blood, and then I lost the conscience, and they took me back to the torture chamber. So in that torture chamber, I remember they used to beat us 3 times a day. They used to call it breakfast and lunch and supper every day until we got used to it. So when they didn't come to beat us, actually, we were wondering what is going on. How come these people have not come to beat us? So they enjoyed. They used to put like 100 soldiers where we were held, and they beat us with anything. So it was like exercise for them. Beat whether you are hit in the head, whether you are hit in the eye, so beat us thoroughly. And by the time they leave, blood is all over. So when we were not beaten, actually, we used to wonder what's going on. But I always say that there is also an angel in hell. In that process, there was another guy called the Pokeza. It's good I mentioned this. A Tutsi guy who was a surgeon called the Pokeza. Pokeza was a part of a fellowship group for Abarokore. Those born again, Abarokore. So they had a fellowship group. They wanted to do something, but they didn't know how to do it. So what the Pokeza did, whenever he came, we knew the angel had come that day. We were never beaten, but they used it to pour a lot of water into the torture chamber. That was his method of giving us access to water, but also for him to protect himself, to be seen that he's torturing us using water. So his soldiers used to come and pour a lot of water on us. So that was an opportunity for us to wash ourselves using the water and drink it. Even though we were staying in that water, we could drink it. So whenever Pokeza came, it was really, really a celebration day for us. Although he used it to pour a lot of water, but it used to be an opportunity for us to access water. So one day they killed us. I remember one day spending a week with 80 bodies, which were starting to decompose. So the bodies, I still remember the name. One was Gilbert Hategekimana from Chiombe. Another one was Kagabo from Ndusu, Agatonde. Another one was Pascal Rwamuninge from Upuri. Another one was a guy from Charles, called the Charles from Rwankeri. Others were from Kibuye, others were from Changugu, like Mushi, a guy we used to call Mushi from Changugu, other guys from Chibungo, other guys from Gitarama. I remember like a guy called Saimana from Gitarama, a guy called Hitayezo from Gitarama, and many guys. So those bodies, until those bodies started rotting, we were with them. And you knew this was Rwamuningi, Pascal from Mukamira, people I knew, the people.
I don't know if
yeah, looks like we lost connection for a second, so we'll give William a little bit of time to get back. But Delphine, this is horrible. It looks like we lost him. Hopefully he'll be right back. In the meantime, maybe we can just start, we can go over some of your comments in the audience.
Oh yes, yes.
They're
Just from the story, it's just horrific. But let me just try to read some of the comments.
One second. If you would check your screen, you should have them.
Sure. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so horrible to hear such stories, but they're so real and so true for so many Rwandans. It's just, yeah, it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Delphine, I'm sure some of this reminds you of places that where you were. I didn't live in the Congo for that long, or travel across the Congo, but I recognize some of the places. Children, millions of children. This war, that was the invasion of Rwanda and Uganda in the Congo, has taken the lives of more than 6 million people, the majority of them being children under the age of 5. That is something to consider. And William was just getting into what happened to him in Rwanda. He was tortured when he got back to Rwanda. The same players that he's talking about, Kagame, the Kagame that's known as a so-called Pan-Africanist. There's no Pan-Africanist that kills people like that. There is, the James Kabarebe, who both him and Kagame have denied the atrocities in the Congo. General Nyamwasa, who wants to become a president of Rwanda to replace his fellow butcher, Paul Kagame, Charles Kayonga, and many others. And Delphine, let me know if you're ready with the comments. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, as William is talking, I didn't want to sort of think about mine, because sometimes when you're talking about our histories, you're like, oh my God, mine was nothing compared to his. But I could, kind of, especially when in the beginning, obviously I didn't see or experience half of what he experienced, but I could remember the camps, the refugee camps, and running, and being a child, like a young person, like really running through the jungle and just being thirsty and hungry and everything, and it was just horrible. But also there was something that struck me, like the tactics they used to invade the camps. Even though he was talking about a different camp, like in Kibumba, which is like North Kivu. But my family and I were in Katare camp, and they came at night as well. So I think it was a strategy for them to make sure that they have, as many people as they can. So anyway, it's horrible. Yeah, let's read some comments.
The surrounding of people, Delphine, where they would surround people and get in front of them and kill them. And they use infiltration tactics where they would have people who would distract those who were trying to flee, make them run around in circles, and then the troops would come in and kill the people. People who lived in the refugee camps with those refugees were the ones who started, killing them with hammers and knives. In some of those cases. So please proceed. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me try to read some comments here. Thanks everyone who's following us. I mean, as hard as this testimony is, but this is so real, and this so many people's history. Rudwan Amen said, if the Honorable Patrice Lumumba had not been murdered, do you think these and other genocidal atrocities in this area would have occurred? Good question. Yeah, that's, I guess, something for everyone to think about. Odette Murekatete, thank you, Dr. William, for sharing your story. It's inspiring to hear that some of you survived. God protected you for reasons. Yes. Yes, I would add that God protected, William, Dr. William, and other people, and us, we survived so that we can tell our stories. Yes, so that's very true. Denise Mikanya, I really feel butterflies in my womb hearing those horrific stories. IPF guys have a different heart composition or what? I really don't. Yeah. You feel so sick in your stomach hearing this. Yeah, I agree. So sad. Orujani Janti said, oh my God, what horror. So sorry, Dr. Williams. Believing that as a kid, all this is before 94. I think she was talking about the beginning of William's journey. This photo target is in 1991. Until these criminals are brought to justice, we won't rest. I'm still shocked to hear these crimes. So sorry to all Rwandese who passed through Inzirandende. Inzirandende is like a long journey. And Congolese people who lost their lives. Why did RPF treat Rwandans in this inhumane way? My God, innocent refugee. William's story is incredibly sad. These criminals must pay. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Urujeni. I think we have William back.
Sorry, technology is good when it works. When it doesn't.
Yes, William, and we have to keep, pick up the pace. We're running out of broadcast time. Yeah. If you can continue with, your story is horrible, but if you can, continue with the torture and surviving Rwanda, and maybe we can get into, your resilience afterwards. But again, time is not our best friend, as our great friend Shaka Sali said.
Sorry this up. So when we were in Kigali, actually, they told us it was a pleasure to see how we were looking miserable, dying, in a very painful. I remember one of the things they used to have something called a muchechu. Muchechu is this drum, the metallic drum. How do you call it? This drum that you bring oil in the drums. Is there another personal what? Ingunguru. I don't know how.
A barrel. It's a barrel.
Oh, a barrel. Yeah, a barrel. So we used to have this barrel that, which was cut half. That was our washroom and the toilet. So we used all to go there. You have people who are more than 600 actually in this small confinement. This confinement go in a corner. That's where. But we used not to go to the toilet. That's a good thing about it, because they never gave us food. Actually, if they gave us food, it was just a corn, boiled corn, a handful of corn. So that's what they used to give us. So I can tell you how many corns can fill my palm, because for years, actually, that's what they used to. So the corn, the boiled corn or the boiled maize that they used to give us as food, actually we later turned it into currency. The reason is that inside there, people were next to the wall. It was warmer, so especially when the sun was setting. So, and also there was a small wind, which was very, very fast. So someone who sat to that angle actually could access the sun from that window. So in order to have the opportunity to use that, to feel that sun, we used it to pay corns. Those are grains. So probably like 10 minutes is 10 grains. So you take out of your daily meal, which is just a handful. Actually, it was 167, between 167 to 200. When you were given 200, you were the richest inside there. So you could take 10 out of it and give it to that guy, then you go and stay there. And another thing is that the muchechu, if you are given an opportunity to carry the toilet with waste in the morning to go and pour it outside, it was actually a blessing for you. So it was a competitive job to carry that thing. But because we were so weak, the muchechu used it to be carried like 10 young men. And then we take it out there and then wash it. To wash it, we used not to wash it using water, because they didn't want us to have access to water. We used to wash it using the sand. So then in the process of the sand, that's when we used to harvest some some grasses. In Rwanda, there are these grasses called the Bugurubwinuma. They are salty. So they didn't know, they came to realize later, we used to harvest those kind of herbs and the grasses and bring them inside, then eat them as a source of salt. Then we used also to look at the fine soil and put it, as we are washing it, then we put it there and bring it. So some RPF soldiers didn't want us to bring the soil inside because they knew we could eat it and live longer. So they didn't want even us to bring that one. So when they realized that we were not dying as fast as they wanted, they did the research. Where we were being tortured, we were with the children. I remember a kid called Amani, and another kid, they were 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Another kid who was there with his two brothers from Chibuye.
You are sitting in a jam-packed, like sardine, in this cell with a whole bunch of people, almost like the little cells where they used to hold the slaves that they sent to the Americas. Yeah, and you had children in there also. And it was so bad, they wouldn't even let you eat dirt.
No, they couldn't allow us to eat soy because that's the only thing that we had to survive for. So I was explaining how they came to know that we eat soy. And there was a broken toilet inside where they had put us, which was rusted and then broken. Then the water was used to bubble up. So that's the water in the toilet we used to drink. So the time they had set for us to die, we didn't die. So they started investigating. So they took these kids. There is also another kid who used to be called the Ndangamira from Kibungo. They asked him, how come you guys, you are not dying and yet you don't eat? Then the guy, because he was just innocent kid, he said, oh, so you think you in Kotanyi know better than us? We have our own way of surviving. You see, when we go out in the morning, when you send a group of us out to dump the waste in the morning, we put soil, fine soil, and clay in that near the toilet in that barrel, and they bring it inside. And we also harvest Bugurubwinuma for salt. So once we are inside there, we share that. That's what we do. That's our. Then where we drink water, there is a broken toilet there. So there is a water bubbling there. That's how. So they had given this guy mandas. So the guy was enjoying telling the story. My friend, after that day, you don't know Ingotany. These people, my friend, they closed everything, every taps, and went and they brought the gravier. I don't know how you call them. Gravier, this sand.
Gravel. Yeah.
The rocks. They brought these gravels and poured where we used to get the soil from. And they cut everything. And then they went to close the pipe, which used to bring the water in the toilet that we used to drink. So they cut everything dry. Then, my friend, we started dying like flies, one by one. You go to the Mukechuru to help yourself in the toilet, you die there. People used to die seated because the heart couldn't pump. There was no fluid in our bodies. So when you are there, when you are trying to push, the heart couldn't pump anything because there was nothing. So people died. People died talking. I remember 3 guys, one of them saying, actually, I'm going to die. The problem is that God is taking too long. And they said, no, don't say that. Said, yeah, today I will die. And the guy, when we went to Muchechu, the guy didn't come back. He died there. So we were killed to the point it became normal. You knew tomorrow it was day. So there is one day they wanted to kill many of us. What they did is that actually they made sure denied us food for 198 hours. That's like from Sunday to Monday. And then when they brought food, and we couldn't actually, we were so emaciated, we couldn't even be able to crowd to the sack where they used to bring the food in. So those who were still strong crowd to the sack, and they took food and they took the first bite. It was actually lentils, salt lentils. They had put like salt like 100 times salt, and they knew there was no water. So every guy who arrived at that sack full of lentils first died, because the first bite they swallowed, and it choked them and they died. So that day, many people died. So one day, as they continued to kill us, they came up with a strategy that those who are almost dying actually should be removed and taken to the mortuary. So I was taken to the mortuary. When I was taken to the mortuary with other people, and we stayed there waiting to die. And there was this group of people that actually helped us. This group of soldiers who were Christians, born-again Christians, Tutsi soldiers, who used to be with this guy called the Pokeza. So they started coming to that mortuary where they had put us to die, because one day what happened actually is that the RPF came and threw grenade among us to maximize the casualties. So I sustained the injuries on my leg. I bled the little blood which was remaining in me, and they thought I was dead. Therefore, they took me to the mortuary. So when I got to the mortuary, then they thought I was dead, and they stayed there. Those people started bringing us the water, and then someone saw us. And when someone saw us, actually those people used to bring us salt, water, which had salt and sugar. We gave them letters to take it to our relatives. So that's how international organizations came to know our whereabouts. But the majority of the people had been killed. And when they came to know our whereabouts, and so it started going into the media. And they now took us to Ingando. Those who were actually remaining, a few of us, they took us to Ingando. And
just so the audience knows what that is, it's basically indoctrination camps to basically get people indoctrinated with the propaganda or the policies of the RPF, the Rwandan Patriotic Front, which is led by Paul Kagame. And William, I'm sorry to speed this up some more, but yes, please do tell us about getting through that Ingando, and we want to talk a little bit about what's going on with you now, and then we'll have to, unfortunately, broadcast time is running out with the studio.
No problem. Me too. I have another assignment to attend. So when we went to Ingando, then